거리죠? Well, the live stream only just started from here. Wait, Jeep's gonna have to get power.
No. Can't mute myself. I'm gonna have to. Jeez, and then they had the audacity to ask. Just mute me for a sec, Chris. Hi mate, I'm not in your arm, well, I can move this side, but I'm going to be flaggy, so yes, that's fine. Should be fine there. I might be used to down there. Just because I'm getting the cars come down that straight. I need to flag. I just might let you really well. I'm switching away your mic. Okay, that's fine. If you sit on the mic, that's fine. I can do that. So like I said, yeah, I know that I'm probably more in your way than you're in mine. I'm just trying to work. Ideally, I'll be over there because I'm missing the cars.
The noise. I think it is.
Yeah, and they got you back. No. It's down at the end of the year, so I don't want to do anymore. And then they were short, I said, oh, I'll go back.
You do. Yeah.
Hey up. How many inks we've got left?
How many inks?
Yeah, fine.
Why is the target for 50 years?
No, just 50 years.
Okay.
The RSCC what it is today has done 60 years actually.
The retirement year for me has definitely been pushed up.
I've been retired from work. I mean, I retired at 60 from work.
Yeah. I do retire. I worked for a very long time.
So I retired. I was 65. I was at 60. The pensions allowed us to work 60.
Yeah.
They paid.
The lungs follows that. So all those things eat, so they run on the
Paid
road.
them back now about £2 a month or something like that, you know. So I thought, okay, if I can go to 60 and get the same money I get from 65, I'm going back. I've been missing good travel. 2 or 3 cruises a year, 2 or 3 weekends in 6 months touring Europe in World War, around the world. I've done my bit, mate. The big wide world out there for you to see. Never see it all.
Oh, mate.
John Marshall, if you can start making your way back to the post, please, that would be good, thank you. Yeah, so into post 3, do you want to swap John Delmore and Bruce Ford in Tusker? Or
We're okay at the moment.
Let's see what
no, hold on. Just let us know. Hold on. Hold the forklift. Radio check, please.
You know, we never get a sexy camera with them, do we?
Yeah, receiving. Post 2. Are you on post? Are you receiving? Post 2 receiving, and we've got the call just approaching now. Finish line, Marshall. Are you receiving? Receiving. Control to post 4. You're receiving. Receiving loud and clear. Control to post 3. You're receiving.
Post 3, receiving loud and clear, fully manned.
Star line. Are you on post and receiving? Yeah. Paramedics, rescue. Are you receiving? Paramedic receiving.
Not worth £2.
Post 1 are you receiving?
Yeah, £2.
You know, we're in town. If we have a good...
Post 1 receiving and a post. Thank you.
I like drinks coffee. I won't drink coffee.
Rescue receiving and a post.
So I like drinks coffee. I'd rather drink. As I say,
Happy Greek.
I love the coffee. I will go home for free. I will go for free.
Receiving.
I don't mind whether it's going to the beer, but I'm not going to have a feeling.
No, I said just the coffee.
Receiving.
I have a cappuccino.
Yeah, passion message.
Yeah. Because you can buy city all day, drink coffee for one.
What's the first race?
Bloody yank.
There's one car being fixed. If it speaks, it needs to go through here first.
You got the camera. What view we got then? Oh, good camera. While I did the white hat and start.
Racing top and start line. Yeah, start line. When possible, confirm the two cars were expecting and what order they will be in. There's no decision on this car 43. No, it's cruising, so it's okay, but we need confirmation for it. Duncan's on the radio, so Duncan okay, and he's ready to go. In the road. now.
when we were having lunch, Georgine came across and she said something. John said, did you hear my
Yeah, I will head down there now, mate.
She was the fuck was like,
Look at them, look at them. You know,
Slages, can you imagine how slages do that?
Yes, but again, they're holding the whole day up now.
Too far away, well, that was blue gun. But that's not the point.
Sorry? From far corner, through the dirt, through the hairpin, down to there, back up to there. This corner here, probably me as well, so that's that one, sort of covering it between us.
He's cracked a bit on the roof, so I don't, the script's there, so you can't go out today
We do. Then you have to go and refuel, didn't you?
He was, before he, do you remember he was in the old 39 steps? He was the husband in the cottage. And when he went to, he was quite old when he went to Dad's army. I've read, it's one of my favourite programmes, and I've read one of the history. And he was a Shakespearean actor. He was very classically trained. He used to be for the Royal Shakespeare Company. Yeah. Well, him who played Godfrey, the old guy, he got a few medals. He was quite a hero in real life. Yeah, I just think it's harmless humour. Harmless humour. No, no, it's all
The saying is to stay, isn't it? Just one line like that.
I'm only 1080.
and the youngest one, he looks the oldest, obviously his part, was Jonesy. He was only in his 50s when... Yeah, well, yeah, Pikey died last year, didn't he? Yeah.
I ain't moving that about. I just pointed at that. I just edited it later to add in. Because I do
yeah, I
video.
think the
needs charging, it's on about 70 odd. If we have
To the BTRDA, the junior cross car class for 14 and to 16-year-olds before they go into the senior classes. We had 4 runners to begin with. We had obviously a couple of no starters for this rerun. One entry unfortunately did end up rolling the car earlier on, and the scrutineers have been checking that over. But here on the screen we've got Phoebe Cake, who is running a brand new TN11 cross car, new to her and straight from the factory, trying out the car with great effect. And Rallycross, for those who aren't sure, is a type of competition which involves a mixture of surfaces. There's the tarmac that Phoebe is on now, and there's a proportion of the track which is of a loose material, and this is rather muddy. The Bowser was out earlier on distributing a lot of water, and some standing puddles and things, which just add an extra bit of a challenge to the drivers. Number 37 there is Jessica Flitney. Jess is 16 years old, and this is her very first race, very first Rallycross meeting, and doing very well. We'll see some senior cross cars a little bit later on. They have slightly larger engines, more power, more speed, but what a great way for these juniors to learn their racecraft and car handling. These little machines, they're quite incredible, and run with motorbike engines to the rear. Most of the weight is at the rear of the car, and those little tyres at the front are very grippy, but when you go into a slowish corner, unless you're hard on the gas, the car will just want to carry straight on. They do have a tendency to understeer unless you boot it and give the car some gas and bring the back of the car round. So in fact you're steering as much with the back of the car and the throttle as you are with the steering wheel in a more traditional fashion, as you would do going to the shops. This race with the 2 competitors, I'm delighted to say both lady competitors, and this is certainly a sport where we've seen an increasing number of ladies joining the entry lists, which is great to see. There's no reason why girls and ladies should not. We encourage it. It's a good thing. So that's Jessica, I think, possibly just about to start her last lap. Yes, she is. And then down the long straight with some of the spectators in the background there. And these cross cars, as well as having a motorbike engine, just as with motorbikes, they have a sequential gearbox, so you're not going through an H pattern as you and I would perhaps normally do, but instead pulling towards you to go up the gears and pushing away from you to go down the gears. And there you can see the suspension working overtime over the lumps and bumps of the loose. And there's Phoebe taking a win in the rerun of the second heat of the junior cross cars. So, as we see Jess Flitney finishing off her last lap of this heat, we shall see the girls out a little bit later on, and maybe one of the other four entries for the junior cross cars, if they're able to get back out on track. But it's a chance for me to say welcome to our live stream. Thank you for joining us. My name is Steve Nottage, and if you don't like what I'm saying, my name's not Steve Nottage. And if you're not used to rallycross, and in which case I'd ask why not? This is one of the best forms of motorsport around. Of that I have no doubt. The races are short races. They're 4, 5, maybe 6 laps for the finals, with a variety of cars running on this on a fairly short course, combining tarmac and loose, and there's also quite a lot of concrete from this circuit, Blyton Park in Lincolnshire, which used to be a World War II fighter airfield. Some of the track that they're running on is part of the old apron or main airstrip, which has got some potholes in it, and wouldn't you after 80 years if you were made of concrete? And so we are now lining up with the first of the third heats, the production class, and it looks like we're running this in the entry in two separate goes, 2 separate races. On the left hand side there we've got Martin Peters in his incredibly rapid little hatchback, which won his heat earlier on. But we've got Ed Shepherd in a newly built Renault Clio leading the way. This car sporting a 2-litre engine. So it's new build. It started off as a very nice body shell, which someone had already put a roll cage in, and then he's put the oily parts from another car in to create this black wonder that we see leading the field. So Martin Peters, who won his heat in his race in the second heat, is trailing a little bit. To be fair, he's one of the few runners in the up to 1600 class. So we have our runners running into their second lap, and that's Nathan Jones in his Honda Civic Type R. Nathan was having trouble earlier on in the second heats with a windscreen full of mud. It's one of the disadvantages. If you're not first with a clean windscreen, you're second or behind, with the potential of not being able to see where you're going and having to use the force in order to get to where you need to be. So Ben Flynn is the only other driver on this race I haven't mentioned yet. Ben Flynn's currently in second in car 552. Running a little bit of blue tyre smoke, I'm sure that is, where he's lit the car up, having gone round the hairpin at the far end of the track, and that inside tyre gets less grip and spins away. So that's Ben Flynn there, and then we've got the rather standard looking Honda Civic Type R, but that car is significantly more powerful than the Martin Peters Peugeot, which is bouncing around behind. Oh, hello! It's like Ben Flynn has had an argument with the tyre wall. He's lost his front bumper, and it looks like we can see what's going on. So let's look at the white car on the right coming in. Oh yes, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Straight through the tyre wall, which is not what we want to see. But it does mean that Ben has lost ground to his competitors immediately behind, which bunches it all up. We've got the black line in the distance. With Ed Shefford far and away having a race of his own, which is a lovely comfortable situation to be. There he is, and is running rather well considering this is his first race with this car. There's always the danger that things on new cars aren't quite settled and ends up with a little teething trouble, which could quite easily stop you from running at all. But thankfully for Ed, he's looking good, looking confident, cocking the rear wheel off the ground as he's gone by. And Ben Flynn, despite losing bodywork and having that contretemps with the tyres, had been leading, and it's now a drag to the last corner. Who are going to come and see leading? Oh golly, right, it's all going on, and Martin Peters goes from 4th to 2nd within the last two corners as the unfortunate Nathan Jones with his silver Civic there outbraking himself, perhaps coming into that last corner and losing position. Right, well, I do hope, ladies and gentlemen, that you're sitting down, because I'm glad I'm sitting down, because if that's the sort of action that we're going to get, we're going to need to. So there we are. There's Ben Flynn leading this triplet of competitors. Nathan Jones just powers away, and Martin Peters is then overtaking Ben Flynn. Meanwhile, Nathan Jones outbrakes himself, goes straight on, and the rest, as they say, is chemistry. Do they say that? Opportunity as we're waiting for our next competitors to join us on the grid, which will be the second half of our competitors in the production class. An opportunity there with one of the marshals on the left hand side there in the all important orange overalls. Without our orange army, we could not race, and that applies across the world. And we see some very dedicated marshals, and there the cuddly chap there with the large clipboard is our very own Chris Humphreys, who is he loves his rallycross almost as much as me, and has dedicated a lot of his free time to marshalling. He's been marshalling for several years, and it's a fantastic way if anyone wants to get involved with motorsport, but doesn't necessarily have the budget or skills or space to run a car and compete. What a great way to get close to the action, to become a marshal, and you make friends for life, you learn important life skills, and you're close to the action. We thank you, Orange Army, we salute you. So, the aforementioned Chris Humphreys on the right hand side there is pointing out to car number 1, Alex Fletcher, where he should be going when he forms up on the grid, but we're just waiting for those tyres to be taken back to their original position, so the track has the tyre walls in the correct place. So whilst that's going on, we've got number 1 on the extreme right hand side, the Awera sponsored Loughborough College Honda Civic of Alex Fletcher, who's been our overall champion the last 2 seasons, which is an amazing accomplishment. And of course then the question is, can Alex do it again? Only time and several rounds during the course of this season will tell. If we look at number 998, the rather familiar looking shape of a Suzuki Swift, and that's Andy Harris with his production spec Suzuki Swift. To his left, our right, is Will Noon in the Mark Finch Renault Clio 182, and then Neil Brooks is our 4th runner over on the right, hiding behind Chris in his orange uniform. Oh, there he is. Now we see you, Neil. And Neil has had several seasons racing in Rallycross, and as has his son Tom Brooks, whom we may get to see racing himself later in the year. It's always quite fun to see father and son racing against each other. So the telehandler waddles its way back to the paddock. The steward, Tony, will then be able to give the all clear and make sure that that marshals are back in post, the telehandler is safely out of the way, and that we are now soon to be in a position to watch for the lights going from red to green for this next 4-lap heat. So the production class is sponsored by the MOT group, and that particular company is owned by very familiar names in the rallycross circuit, particularly on the BTRDA Clubmans Championship. So we got Mark Henry, who we've used to seeing in his Alfa Romeo 147, and his lovely wife Lisa. They're here today spectating. Haven't had a chance to catch up with Mark to find out what his plans are, but I know that when we last spoke at the end of last season, it was to put a larger engine into his Alfa 147. Very much a unique car in Rallycross in the UK. I don't think anyone else is running an Alfa in any of the other classes on either BTRDA or in the Five Nations British Rallycross Championship. So anyone who's used to watching and interpreting body language will be trying to work out what Chris Humphries on the grid there is indicating. It might be that there's someone over the other side who's meant to be getting back into position but hasn't done so. Whatever, it's clearly frustrating. Righty-ho. So the marshal there has found a front bumper that wasn't there this morning. Clearly a Renault Clio bumper that would be left from our previous race. So we're underway, and Alex Fletcher in his Civic has had to get off the concrete, the World War II concrete, to get right and onto the tarmac, to then take a lead into this very sharp corner, carrying a fair bit of speed into it, to then go across the concrete onto the loose. I'll see the suspension bouncing around a lot, with Will Noon trying to hold on to him, Neil Brooks and Andy Andy Harris in fourth for the time being. So Alex Fletcher, the lecturer from Loughborough College, is here with his usual backing group, the mechanics working on the car, preparing it and keeping it running, from Loughborough College. So it's very much hands-on field trip for the learners from Loughborough College, and it's fantastic to see them smiling away, getting stuck into the maintenance and checks of the car, and then going off and supporting their lecturer doing his thing. A little bit of a lock-up going into the corner, leaving a nice black line, and as these two 3-door hatchbacks head off onto the bumpy bits, and made quite a bit of a gap now before Neil Brooks and so there's only a few car lengths here. This is really anyone's. Will Noon in second. He's been campaigning on this particular Clio for 2 or 3 years now. 3 years, I'm sure it is, and having more success with it than Mark Finch did before. It's still running the same colour scheme that Mark was using. So the cars have really closed up under braking going into the chicane, and I should note that with this production class, the cars are very, very similar to the showroom spec, other than the paint schemes, the fact that they have the roll cage in them. They only have the one racing seat rather than 4 or 5 seats, harnesses and various other safety gear, including fire extinguishers. And there's a very limited amount of work that can be done on the engines, suspension and brakes. So these cars are as close as you'll get to road-going cars. And that particular Civic of Alex Fletcher's has done about 160,000 miles, if memory serves me right, having been on the road for many years before. So Neil has obviously picked up a road cone, and hopefully we won't have to wait for the marshals to put that back into its original place at the end of this race and the next one starting. But he won't be doing his speed any good, I'm sure, dragging along the ground like that. So as they enter the last lap, Will's made a little bit of a half-hearted manoeuvre on Alex, but sometimes it's enough to upset the car in front, upset the driver of the car in front. Oh, I think we got Neil. Now, which is the cone he goes for? Oh, hello. A bit of a Torville and Dean. So he's still not got a road cone trapped under there at that stage. So we must have picked that up as he was returning to the track. But looks dramatic, but no harm done, apart from for his lap time and position. So this is the run to the checkered flag. We've got Alex Fletcher with a clear screen, and that was very close. Well done, guys. Let's go and see how the rest of our runners are doing. So, yeah, Andy Harris has got in front of Neil Brooks, who's determined to change that. And on the blast to the last corner, they've braked, yes, and they've both got round. So Neil Brooks making life very difficult for himself, but he's ended up in third, and Andy Harris in fourth. So again, I hope everyone's sitting down and feeling comfortable, because yeah, this should be fairly typical of the racing that we're going to see, as our BMW Minis leave the paddock and form up onto the grid. And we've had 7 entries for the BMW Minis. Sadly, one of the cars was the scrutineers had found something that they didn't like, and so that car hasn't been allowed to race today. And although there looks like there's another Mini in the paddock, that's actually a much larger Countryman rather than these R53 Minis. On the left-hand side, we have we had number 46, Paul Woodford, on the outside of the front row. There he is at the extreme left of our screen there. And Graham Ives in number 83, Leanne Sedgwick in 144. On the extreme right-hand side, we have got a new driver to us. 299 is Liam McManus from Ireland, and the only one I haven't mentioned is number 51, second from the left there, Wesley Wickens, who's shown very good speed so far today, and he's clearly got, Wesley Wickens has got from the second row and to take the lead round the outside. Very good driving from Wesley, who's a little bit of a nudge, which is it's not what we want to see have happen. Rallycross is a non-contact sport, and it's not to say that contact doesn't ever happen, as we saw there with Leanne Sedgwick being nudged from behind by Paul Woodford. So Leanne Sedgwick and Wesley Wickens, who's currently leading, they had an incredibly close race in the second heats, with about a tyre's or wheel size between the two of them as they went over the line. Amazingly close. We do have another non-runner today for this third round of the heats, which is Mark Finch, who I mentioned earlier on, the previous owner of Will Noon's Clio. I know Mark was having problems with some oil escaping from the engine where he didn't want it to, and the last time we'd seen Mark was 2 years ago when he had a fire, which is directly related to an oil leak. So maybe he's decided that he'll get that checked out before returning to the track. But we have there Leanne McManus in front of Leanne Sedgwick, and they are in second and third position, with Wesley Wickens disappearing off, if he has anything to do about it. So there's Paul Woodford not showing much damage to the front of his car, having given Leanne a little gentle nudge earlier on. Graham Ives is bringing up the tail of the field in car 83. No. It's one of the features of these BMW Minis is that they can sometimes go around the corners on three wheels, and I just spotted that as Paul Woodford was taking the last part of that first corner, the very tight bit, on three wheels, cocking up the inside rear one. So Liam McManus with the wipers running. This is the first time that we've seen Liam McManus in the BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross Championship, and she's very welcome to join us. A young lady who's been running in juniors in her native island, and is now in the process of moving up through the graduate program in Ireland, and joining us in senior minis for this year. And they're all now on to their last lap. So this is Wesley, young Wesley Wickens, who's been there or thereabouts each of the last 4 years in the BMW Mini Championship. Frequently on the podium. He's clearly got that Mini well stuck together and performing as he likes. I know that he's recently bought a the body for a rear-wheel drive Mini, which would not be eligible for this particular category, all of which are fairly standard supercharged Mini Coopers with limited modifications allowed. But his newly acquired rear-wheel drive one is possible for the super modified in the future. We'll wait to see. So, Wesley will be very happy with that. Leah McManus will be delighted with her second place at the first time here at Blyton. Leanne Sedgwick in next, and then Paul Woodford obviously had a little bit of fun towards the very end there, perhaps on the last lap, came in last, giving second best to Graham Ives. So we can now reset after that entertainment from the BMW Minis, and we have the super modifieds. Yes, another Mini, but not like the ones we've just seen. This particular Mini started off life as an all-4 Mini, the four-wheel drive, but now running in a front-wheel drive configuration for Andy Hawks. Alongside him on the front row is a name well known to those who've been involved in Rallycross for many years. It's Paul Coney, and he's previously been a championship winner in the Nova Challenge, which ran in mid to late 80s through to the early 90s, and seems to have kept with Vauxhall for his entire Rallycross career. This car was originally, the Paul Coney car was originally built as a Super 1600 car, so 1600cc, sequential gearbox. And so who have we got joining them? Right, so under orders, and away we go. Andy Hawks having a terrible job trying to get some grip on the old concrete from pole position, allowing Paul Coney to take lead. And Stale Ford, who's the third of our three runners. Over many decades, had a little bit of a break in recent years, and it's good to see he's returned to Rallycross. Speaking with him earlier on today, and he's clearly enjoying being back in racing, and seems to have found a good home in the BTRDA Clubmans Championship, enjoying the range of tracks in different locations across the UK. Will return to Blyton Park in June this year, but before that they'll be racing at Liddon Hill over Easter, and a trip to Mondello Park in Ireland, Pembrey in South Wales, and then finishing off the season at the Knockhill track in Scotland. So it's quite an international affair, in a manner of speaking. So Andy Hawks, he's had some problems with this particular Mini in the years he's campaigned it, but he seems to have got it hooked up well now, and had some issues first thing this morning, which he was able to get sorted out with some help from the Bell Rallycross team who are running the car. As he then goes in to finish, they both go to finish their third lap. No, they don't. I'm ahead of myself. They finish their second lap, and now onto their third lap. And this long drag towards the first corner. It's the fastest part of of the track, and then hard on the brakes while steering, which of course is not how the driving instructors would tell you to do it. Brake and steer at the same time, but that's what they do, just to try and make up as much time as possible. And Dale Ford was having a little nibble at Andy Hawks. However, didn't quite work. Andy's kept his place. Andy's car, sponsored by Hawks Fire, we provide fire extinguishers and other fire equipment for cars, houses, commercial units, you name it, they do it. Quite a few of the cars that we'll see racing here this afternoon have got fire equipment that's been provided by Hawks Fire, and the SG Haulage Corsa right behind Andy, and trying to get past him, Dale Ford. That car is one of a two-car team with Steve Gaunt running a car that we shall see soon in the classics. Meanwhile, the blobby patterned Paul Coney car, which is doing exactly what the master tells it, behaving very well, extending its lead. Meanwhile, our second and third places squabbling along. Now, so Paul Coney takes the win, and and the rest of the field, so Andy Hawks and Dale Ford, come into the last corner to finish the third heat. Now, we've been talking a lot about minis, and a very well-known and well-loved mini competitor over many years of the BTRDA is Abby McGuinness, and I have the pleasure of sharing this little bench with Abby right now. How are you doing, Abby?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I mean, enjoying the Rallycross. This is the first round of the new season, and we've got the whole season ahead, so I'm in a happy place. Hope you are too. I
am. It's different to not be racing.
Yeah.
But it's good to be on the sidelines and seeing what really happens.
Absolutely. Because you've had a lot of success in BTRDA with your BMW Mini, but you're not racing with us at the moment. Do tell us what.
We are currently racing in Ireland for the Parts for Cars Irish Rallycross Championship. We raced there last year and managed to take the win in that championship. So we're there retaining it again this year. Mm-hmm. And we're here today to help with Leah McManus, a newcomer from over there.
Yes.
She's doing really well.
She is. We've just seen her coming in second place in that previous race. So yeah, very good performance from young Leah. How old is she?
18.
She's 18. Right. Good. Which is why she's in the graduate class.
Yes.
In Ireland at the moment. And we're still talking about minis as David Bell takes his formerly All 4 Mini into a lead that is running in front wheel drive only. Steve Ratu in the MG ZR in second. We've got an interesting dice here with young Callum Scott in his very first ever Rallycross meeting in the Suzuki Swift in third, and Geordie Gray in his BMW Compact, which is rear wheel drive and flings its back out a lot. Abby, have you driven rear wheel drive at all?
No, I haven't. That is something I'm looking into doing at some point, of course. Just watching this, it's very good to have the newcomers, a lot of newcomers actually. Yeah,
but not so new is of course Steve Ratu, who's unfortunately outbraked himself, carrying just a little bit too much speed into the hairpin, which is and I think we might be able to get to see that. So there's Steve Ratu on the right hand side in the MG ZR. Right, okay, it wasn't all his own work. I think Callum Scott demonstrating a lack of experience. And Geordie, Geordie's going to lose his offside front wheel, some suspension breakage or something, which has been as a result of that. But if he can keep going, he'll help get a position in the final later on today. What are your thoughts? Is he going to make it to the end?
I mean, we're on lap 2. It must be difficult. Hats off to him.
Yeah.
But he's not slowing down.
No. Meanwhile, David Bell, who was leading comfortably, has obviously picked up some form of. I think the reason Geordie's gone wide there is that his car's not very good at turning left, and we can see why, but he can't.
He's not quite sure there's a problem. He's just driving it like normal.
And watching Geordie earlier on, he was very tail happy. That car's got a 3 litre straight 6, lots of power and not a long wheelbase, so the back of the car does fly around a fair bit. Meanwhile, David Bell's got the car running again. I wouldn't feel confident about overtaking at that point because Geordie's car's unpredictable.
No, you'd have to find a place where there's a lot of space. It looks extremely bumpy out there as well.
Just a little bit. Oh! Now, can Geordie turn the car around and hopefully not find too much?
I think it's gone.
I think you're right. Wow. Oh, he's out. Right. Hopefully out and to a point of safety, and hopefully without the car, without the race being red
Thumbs
flag.
up there.
Yeah, I think that's fairly terminal.
Might be a struggle for that one, but hopefully we'll see him back out.
You never know. Depends what parts he's brought with him. He's come all the way down from Scotland to be with us here.
I'm sure they'll do everything to get back out if they've come that far.
So we're at the end of this. Well, we're not quite at the end of this unpredictable race, but we've got David Bell in first. We've then got a fairly large gap before Steve Ratu in his 1.8 turbocharged MG-ZR with an Audi engine, and very young Callum Scott, who's thoroughly enjoying his very first Rallycross meeting, in third, albeit with the front of the car looking a bit loose and not quite how Suzuki planned it.
Hey, it doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it goes in a straight line.
Yeah, that's right, and still goes round corners when you want it to.
Yeah, as long as it does everything you want it to, then
Yep.
It doesn't matter too much.
Now, Callum, I think, is showing great determination.
Great potential as well.
Yeah. And if the name Scott sounds familiar, it's nothing to do with where Geordie comes from. It's because Callum is one of the sons of Darren Scott, whom we're hoping will be racing with us again before the end of this season, who's been campaigning a Citroen C2 in the Super 1600 and super modified classes, currently building a new car. Wow, so much going on there. So here we go. This is what happened as
he got involved in that too.
Yes, we missed that first time, but with the wonders of instant action replay, we can see that offside front must have hit the back of Callum Scott's car as Callum nerfed Steve Ratu.
I mean, he's done well to keep it going for as long as he did. Unfortunate to not finish the race, but
no, and we very much hope that Geordie's able to get the car back on track, and I mean that quite literally, folks. A little bit later on, there's another bumper in the background. I think demonstrating here, Abby, that whilst the marshals are always wearing orange, they still have opportunity to demonstrate their individualism. Look at the hats.
Oh, they're just showing that they're having fun. That they enjoy being here.
Yeah. And
most of the time, I'd say they enjoy being here anyway.
Yes. Now, whether that pickup can actually pull Geordie, bearing in mind it's that 3/4 of the wheels are where BMW placed them, and the fourth one is not. It might have to be a telehandler.
It might have to be lifted. I think they'll struggle to get it out of there.
Yeah. Oh dear. So anyway, let's think back to or concentrate on what you have been doing and continue to do. the season in Ireland runs from sort of the autumn of one year and into the summer of the next, doesn't it?
Yeah, so it starts in late October, and then the last round is in May, which is the one that the Five Nations comes over for.
Yeah.
And that's the last one then. So we have the summer off, which is nice.
It is. It is. At least you can come across and watch. Although your Mini, it's essentially the same car that you won the BTRDA Mini Championship with, it wouldn't comply with regulations now, would it?
No.
But it could be.
It could do. I
Yeah.
could very easily put it back to how it was when I won the British, but yeah, it's easy enough to change, but also...
So the changes that you've made to run in is it modified or super modified?
It's Clubman modified, so it's basically a cheaper version of modified for people that can't quite afford to go into the big leagues but want something a little extra.
So changes to the car then would be things like the ECU, the electronic control unit?
You can do whatever you want with the ECU. You can have it running what you like. The other things are only like minor things, like you have to have a still door on the driver's side. The cars are a little bit heavier. We run different tyres over there, and
Square ones?
triangle.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's nothing major. Like if you were saying to an outsider what you'd change to the car, you'd think, oh, that's not really that much, but
it has a big difference.
it does have a big
on
difference.
track.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but reversible. You could, if you so wished, you could use essentially the same car with those modifications reversed.
Yeah, 100%. They're easy enough to change back. So if there was one that we decided we wanted to do, like maybe Lidden or something, then we could easily reverse them and we'd be there.
Yeah, good stuff. But it's never comfortable seeing a car being recovered by a telehandler. We much rather see cars return to the paddock under their own power, but sometimes these things happen. And I think clearly in this instance, Geordie was the innocent bystander who happened to get involved with someone else's accident.
Yeah, I think looking at the replay, there was nowhere for him to go really. He was just an innocent.
In the wrong place.
In the wrong place at the right time. Yeah.
Yeah, is he at the wrong place at the wrong time or the wrong place at the right time? Either way,
he got involved in something that wasn't for him.
Yes. Yeah. Telehandler driver has the big job of making sure that they've got the balance point about right, because we don't want the car
doesn't
being...
need any extra damage than what he's already got.
We don't want the car being recovered and then falling off the telehandler's prongs. Which does remind me of it was a few years ago now that your Mini had to be recovered here.
Yes, it was in June of 2021, a day that I remember vividly.
Yeah, clearly.
I rolled 3 or 4 times, can't really remember how many, and the car was in a bad way, but everyone, all the marshals and everything, did everything they needed to keep me safe and happy. Because
the car ended up on its side, didn't it, after its multiple rolls?
Yeah, it was on its side, and they struggled to get me out. But eventually there was sort of a mutual decision that I needed to get out before the car was moved. So they helped there and got it back onto the trailer ready to be rebuilt.
Yeah, into a new shell.
Yes.
That was pretty much the end of that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the end of that one, yeah.
But it shows, it's a good example of how the safety equipment in all of the rallycross cars really do their job. So I've mentioned already about roll cages and fire extinguishers, but there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%. So obviously you have to have your fireproof overalls and boots for the obvious reasons. But then your helmet, you have to have a head restraint as well, and the harnesses are 5-point harnesses, so once you're strapped in, you really aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. And all of those thankfully did their job which has meant that you've been able to, after a bit of dusting off and maybe a crunch with a chiropractor, been able to carry on with life as though nothing's happened.
Yeah, I mean, you get the odd memories pop up on Facebook and stuff, don't you? And you're like, oh, what a bad day.
Or someone reminds you of it, and you can tell them the date in June 2021 when it happened. Yeah.
But yeah, if it wasn't for the safety equipment and for how my dad builds the cars, I'm sure everyone's cars are built the same, but mine was built by my dad, so I will always say thank you for keeping me safe on that occasion and all occasions.
Absolutely, yeah. That's right. Yeah, if we compare the cars now with those that were running, say, in the sport 20, 25, 30 years ago, there's so much more safety equipment in there. It does mean they're heavier, like for like, but when it comes to keeping the drivers safe and alive in the case of an accident, then that's the extra weight that cars are carrying around is a small price to pay. And that poor old cone. Oh dear. We could see it happening, couldn't we? It was like in slow motion.
You could see it going under the car, and then it got attacked by the tyre.
And the only person who couldn't see it was the telehandler driver.
Was the person that needed to see it.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, he had enough.
He has enough things to worry about.
Enough things in front of him to stop him from seeing where he's meant to be going. But there we go. Sorry, Mr. Telehandler driver.
We didn't mean it.
Well, we don't want it to come out the wrong way. Much like him, he doesn't want the car to come out the wrong way. He wants it off in place in the paddock. Right now, it looks like the cross cars. Is something that you fancied having a go at?
If someone was to come up to me and say, you can race this for the day, then I'd give it a go. But,
well, these things are quite remarkable. The amount of performance from these little buggies, these cross cars, is incredible. You can see Dale. Oh, hello. That's Liam McMullen, who had a tortured time in the previous heat where he ended up with a puncture and pulled off the track. It was then red flagged and then restarted. Now the brakes are quite good on these cars, but clearly not as good as whoever that was
not
thought
as good
they were.
as they're expecting.
No. So we'll catch up on names and numbers as the dust settles. I can tell you that Brad Turner is in second, and he's following.
We have a red flag.
Yeah. He's on the track. He's in the way, and therefore safety.
Yeah, on the entrance to the gravel, I believe.
Yeah. Oh no. Now it's then down to the steward to decide whether, as the cause of the red flag, whether he's allowed to rejoin the rerunning of the heat, or whether he can't.
Yeah, it's always a difficult one. Obviously, if you can't get it started, and then they bring the red flags out, and you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not down to your own issue, like your own fault, but it is. If it's the rules, it's the rules at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, Liam McMullen there in the interestingly liveried cross car. Returning back. Now, is he going to turn right into the paddock, or is he going to turn left and be allowed to rejoin? Place your bets now. Oh, he's going to rejoin. That's Tom Constantine?
That's James.
James Constantine. Beg your pardon. Yeah. Who? Just in case you wondered, you need to take the steering wheel off to get in and out. There's not anything that's broken. Well, whilst we're waiting to find out what happens to the Constantine cross car, I shall thank Abby McGuinness for joining us on the live stream, and look forward to seeing you next time. Well, when I'm in Mondello.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, and hopefully we'll be either on track or on the sidelines for the next one.
All the very best. Thanks, Abby.
Thanks.
Right, so Liam McMullen has been told you're not allowed to restart. So it's not been a very good day for Liam, unfortunately. This is the third heat, and he had the puncture in the second. And whether he's done enough to get into the finals, I think he probably will have done, because he's finished a whole heat. But we'll see. So James Constantine, number 88, not in a position he wanted to be in. So Liam McMullen was number 69, James Constantine is 88. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. His car number is 88. He's definitely not 88, I can vouch for that, and we saw him a few minutes ago. He's definitely significantly younger than that. So the runners and riders for the Motorsport UK Cross Car Championship are Will Ovenden in car 5, Teddy McPherson in number 19, Liam McMullen 69, who we won't be seeing until hopefully the finals, James Black in 53, Bradley Turner 61, and there's James Constantine 88, and David Kane 581. And as with a few of our entrants today, David Kane 581 has come over from Ireland, Northern Ireland in his case, and it's great to see that in a similar way that Abby, who was just speaking with us, is now racing in Ireland, that some of the Irish lads and lassies are joining us over here. More of that. Let's hope that continues. That's great. More the merrier. So David Kane is on the car in the car on the extreme left. 53 in the middle, James Black, and then got Brad Turner 61 on the extreme right with his wipers running, and away off they go. And that pole position on the extreme right of our screen is definitely a disadvantage here, because you're on the rough concrete rather than on the proper race tarmac, the racing line, which is kept cleaner because cars are running over it. So you can see the suspension bouncing up and down. James Black's had a great start, and he leads, leading David Kane and Brad Turner in 61, and Teddy McPherson and Will Ovenden complete the field. Now seen where both Teddy and Will back there have come through the ranks from junior rallycross in Suzuki Swifts, to find a much happier position for them, and much more enjoyable from their point of view, in these cross cars, where there seems to be no better way of learning how a car handles and how it behaves under these extreme conditions. As these cross cars are something else. I had an absolute pleasure 4 weeks ago here at Blyton on the test day to have my hands on a TN11 like the one at number 61, Brad Turner, courtesy of Brad's father, Adrian Turner, who very generously invited me to have a go in one of these cross cars. And it's an opportunity to dust off my old race suit and race boots and have a go. And wow, I still have a broad grin from the experience. These things are so immediate. As soon as you do anything with the steering wheel, the car behaves. It's like it's part of your own body. The acceleration is quite phenomenal. And as you're pumping away through the sequential gearbox, speed gathers to about 100 miles an hour at this point. It's amazing. So David Kane putting an audacious move on James Black, which is amazing, incredible, and he's made it stick. Which I think, really, considering David Kane's experience in these machines with us in BTRDA and in Ireland, is to be expected. He's quite a phenomenal driver. You can see these cars leaning over on the suspension. The inside front tyre goes very light, as I now know from my own experience. If you try and drive these vehicles gently, they don't like it. You really have to pick them up by the scruff of the neck and show them who's boss. And what I mean by that, an example, is taking corners slowly just gives you a whole load of understeer where you turn the steering wheel but the car wants to plough on in a straight line. Whereas putting your right foot down on the accelerator as you turn at about this point now, looking at James Black's car, the back of the car comes round and the car turns. So you're steering as much with your throttle and the back of the car as you are with the steering wheel operating on the front. So James just oversteered a little bit there, lost a little bit of time. So Brad Turner's right up where his back bumper would be and making an effort perhaps to get past, and succeeded. Now what's going to happen as they go into the hairpin? Will Ovender's looking up to pick up a place or two if he can. So David Kane leads into the last corner and indeed takes the checker flag, the sign of the Finnish people. Sorry, the sign of the Czech people. And apologies for the sense of humour. Those who know me know I can't help it. I keep taking the tablets, but they don't work. So that's our UK Cross Car Championship third heats, and I think next should be our classics. The classics this year sponsored by Mr. Transit, who does a lot of work with the particular type of Ford van and others, but he'll do anything from fixing them to selling parts either in person or online. So Mr. Transit, we thank you very much for your sponsorship. It's actually a brother-in-law of Will Noon who we saw racing the Renault Clio earlier on. So our cars here, that's Thomas Edmonds in his Corsa, and Vince Bristow in the 3 Series BMW, which if we see it running in a straight line is something's going wrong, because Vince Bristow does have a reputation for driving sideways, which we love. So in pole on the right hand side there, number 73 is Messi Evans. It's run by the Spark team under the watchful eye of Jamie McBain, whom has raced with us in the past, and I believe will be back with us again before the end of the season. I do hope so. And alongside Messi on the left hand side of the screen on the front row is Mark Jones running his wonderful Toyota MR2. So we've got Thomas Edmonds. Oh, I think someone's ordered a package. So is that Deliveroo or is that DPD? Damaged Parcel Delivery, I think that stands for. Certainly is in my experience. So on the left hand side, at the back of the grid, we've got Steve Gaunt, which has just been checked over there by the marshal, and alongside Steve is another Steve Cousins in the mid-engined Renault 5, and on the extreme right at the back there is Vince Bristow. So, is this arty shot, or is someone walking an invisible dog? I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Now, if I had a radio link with Chris Humphreys on the grid there, we might have an idea. Or maybe there's something going on out on track that we can't see. Indeed, there's a clue, isn't there? A big yellow and black clue. It must be the telehandler coming back out again. So the historics, or the classic cars, the classic categories of cars from that predate 1995, and as you can see, it gives us a wonderful variety of beasties, front engine, rear engine, mid engine, you name it. Oh, we don't have any Porsches or Beetles, so not perhaps rear engined today, but great variety of cars. And there's a mixture of engine sizes and turbocharging and supercharging, or just large naturally aspirated engines. There we go. Postman Pat is doing a lap slowly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, probably if we were driving around the track, this is what we would look like, which gives an idea of just how fast the races are going when we see them bouncing around. I thought for a moment there that Jess the cat may have been in there with Postman Pat, but it's not. It's a human. So the classic cars here, Peugeot 205 on the extreme right, and behind is 3 Series BMW. That's Vince Bristow's car running at least 2.5 litres of BMW straight 6. Thomas Edmonds running a front drive Corsa, but not like anyone that you'd have seen in the showrooms at the time. The Renault 5 it's got the same layout as the Renault 5 Turbo, although this particular car is not turbocharged. Damaged parcel delivery. That's our Jordine Crooks, whom is a wonderful human being and does so much for the sport, and as with so many people, is sort of largely unrecognised. But without people like Jordine and John Rook, whom I hope will be joining us in time for the finals later on, and others on the committee, Dave Ewan, Alex Fletcher, and I apologise for any others on the committee whom I've missed out. Without their work in their spare time, we would not have this wonderful championship and the categories within it to enjoy throughout the year. So Jordine, we don't often get to see on screen, but she has been in the past. She has raced rallycross cars herself, and at the time was nicknamed the fastest nurse in the UK. And she regularly co-drives in rally cars with people like Jamie McBain, who very kindly gave me a passenger ride around the Blyton track on test day 4 weeks ago, which is an experience I take with me for a long time. Quite how he got this front wheel drive 205 rally car around some of the corners that, as he did, took some believing. And I was wide-eyed in amazement and not panicked at all, honestly. So with Postman Pat back in the paddock, hopefully the stewards will allow us to go racing, which is what we're here for. So what looks like a slightly mouldy sign in front of us is actually the stop-go board. So the drivers will be glaring at it intently, waiting for for the glimmers of red and the calm before the storm when the lights go green. And we go racing. And a strange thing about the track here at Blyton is that those in pole, like Messi Evans on the right hand side there, and Vince Bristow behind him, they are off the racing line on this old concrete, and they not only do they have to cope with the lack of traction on that dirty surface that's uneven, but they also have to make their way right onto the tarmac in order to get around the tyres at the beginning of the first corner, which is a left-hander. So they have to go right to go left, and the marshal doing the check and make sure all of the drivers are ready. Watch the board. Engine revs rise, and away we go. And my word, Steve Cousins has made an explosive start there. It may have knocked Thomas Edmund's front bumper off, and that was there when he was on the grid, and it wasn't there soon afterwards. But Steve Cousins, who's a rallycross driver of many years experience, he's been campaigning this particular Renault for a year or so, since Phil Collard, its original or previous owner, and who developed it significantly, sold it on. So Steve Cousins, who's come down from all the way up from the West Country to be with us today, will be thoroughly enjoying the fact that he's winning a heat. Meanwhile, Vince Bristow is gaining and taking Steve Gaunt in two very different vehicles, and I know, having watched Vince over many years, I know he's a very difficult driver to overtake, because he makes that BMW ever so wide. He so rarely drives in a straight line, hence his nickname, Mr. Sideways. So Steve Cousins leading Mark Jones, who himself has come east a long way, as Mark's based in Wales, where there's very well developed Toyota MR2, which is turbocharged and is quite some beastie in itself. Sponsored by Mark's Motors, of course. Mark Jones is the proprietor of the aforementioned company, and Thomas Edmunds, who lost his front bumper, is right there with them. The sheer power of the Toyota takes a few car lengths lead, but then Thomas is right on him again over through the bends, back onto the straight, and it's really anyone's race. So if Mark Jones can make that stick round the outside, he's done ever so well. Or maybe it's because Steve Cousins has slowed down. It looks like he has. That's so annoying. I hope Steve Cousins hasn't got a major problem with the car, but it's almost stopped and is now at the back of the field. So we're now from a 3-car to a 2-car race for the lead. Well, things look all right with Steve's car, but clearly something's not right inside, and hence he's slowed down and will probably go straight back to the paddock. So we're still on lap 3 of 4 in this particular heat. Rear-wheel drive mid-engine Toyota MR2 against front-engine front-drive Vauxhall Corsa. Not a lot in it, and see how much Thomas Edmunds closed under braking, and sensational gap filling, and so Vince Bristow is still in the 3rd place behind our leaders, Mark Jones and Thomas Edmunds, and there's not, you could throw a handkerchief over them and cover them both, I think, at the same time. There's not a lot in it, but when it comes to the sheer power of that Toyota, Mark can get himself out of a bit of trouble. But then on the more technical, squirrely bits, the handling and the braking power of that of the Corsa is quite incredible. So what's going to happen as they come now into the last corner? I think Thomas lost a little bit of ground there. Just the tyres lit up, which isn't the best way of getting that power and the torque to the ground. And so Mark Jones from Wales does win, with Thomas Edmonds second, Vince Bristow third, Stephen Gaunt fourth, and Messi Evans fifth. Just having a quick look around to work out what happened to Steve Cousins' Renault 5, and there it is, still out on track but safely out of the way, so he's now able to make his way back under his own power, which is good to see, and also helps us because we're not having to wait for the telehandler. Beautifully turned out car, that particular Renault 5, and it's such a rare car in any form. Unfortunately, like so many cars built in the 80s, say 170s before that, of course, rotted away sometimes in front of your eyes. But this one has been looked after, cared for, and then driven very hard. Or maybe this is Steve's way of getting more time on camera. No, I don't think so. So number 50, Steve Cousins, returns to the paddock, where I hope whatever the problem has been is easily sorted and solved and enables him to be out again later on for the final. We will see in time. Now it's my pleasure to introduce for the second time this afternoon and on the live stream here our junior cross cars. This has been something that's been mooted for a year or two, but this is the first time it's happened for 14, 16-year-olds to be out on track in a championship of their own in these wonderful cross cars. Previously, juniors only had the option of 1.3 Suzuki Swifts, and whilst that option is still available, it looks as though no one has taken that up for this year. That, of course, may change. Oh, a bit of Thomas Edmonds' bumper being taken off the track. So these machines are very similar to the cross cars that we saw racing a little earlier on. They do have smaller engines. They are detuned, but by way of the essential items, they are identical, just slightly slower because of the lower engine power. And they're on the green. Lights are go. So Phoebe Cake in the blue TN11 takes an early lead, and she's being followed very closely by Jessica Flitney, and then her brother Harry, aged 14, not 15 like the car. Oh, hello, Phoebe Cakes had a bit of a moment, which means that we have a Flitney 1-2. Now, the problem that Phoebe has is that these cross cars don't have a reverse gear. So if she's forwards on into the tyres, there's nothing that she can do about it. So Sense takes course and the race is red flagged. Then up to the steward to decide whether Phoebe is allowed to rejoin the field and take the restart, but that's not my decision. I'd rather see her having another go, but and I know from experience these things are the most difficult part of driving them is driving them slowly, including starting from scratch. Not so bad if you're giving the engine a lot of revs and taking off from the grid, but and to drive them slowly is tricky. Now the car looks all right, so maybe it was just a little driver error, and found herself face into the tyres. Now, thinking of the other two drivers in this particular heat, the name Flitney may ring some bells. I think it may be the first time that we've had 3 generations of one family in our wonderful sport of rallycross. Ian Flitney has raced over many years, and most recently in a Subaru Impreza, and in Five Nations Retro Rallycross 4x4. Looks like Phoebe has been told, no, sorry, you're not allowed to restart. But hopefully she's done enough to get into the final, which we'll see a little later on. So Ian Flitney, his son Dominic has done all manner of wonderful things in Suzuki Swifts, and more recently bought himself a Volvo C30 supercar. But it seems strange to have Dominic here, not racing, because his son and daughter are here on track racing against each other. So yeah, 3 generations of one family. So 37 there is Jessica Flitney, age 16, followed by her younger brother Harry in number 15. And for them both, this is the first time using cross cars in a rallycross meeting. I think I'm right in saying that Jess here has had a go in a rally sprint event in a cross car at Liddon Hill, and clearly enjoyed that so much that she wanted to do this particular season in rallycross, and fantastic. And younger brother Harry is trying to watch how it's done as big sis starts to make a bit of a gap on him. So just taking a wide line into that corner, which is quite a good move, particularly if you're not having to fend someone coming up on your inside. And then you can see the suspension working its way over this lumpy, bumpy, loose surface back onto the tarmac. And there you can just see a little bit of where there's a bit of understeer, where Jess is turning the steering wheel and the tyres were turning, but the car wasn't turning as much as the steering was telling it to. A little bit of understeer, but that's okay. Just got the measure of that. And then into the pin at the top of the track, and then using the sequential gearbox, flat shifting without having to declutch, and then down a gear or two for this double bend, and then flat out into the straight. I just saw Jess there hitting the brake rather hard, and the near side front tyre locking up. Bit of tyre smoke. No harm done. But perhaps she could have taken a little bit more pace around that corner, and a little bit little bit less braking, just to maintain speed a little bit more. But that's one of the things, as you learn, as you do more laps in these little vehicles, you get to learn what they like, what they do, and what they can't do. And doing that is fine. It's all part of the learning process. I think there Jess was actually trying to avoid a pothole, and Harry going for it there, a little bit of oversteer where the back of the car is coming round, which is such a thrill. Not so good on the high street if you're driving to the shops, but out here on a racetrack, great fun. So we are now on to our last lap. The marshal in the background grabbing the checker flag. And away we go. Back over Lumpy Bumpy Loose, which thankfully has dried out significantly from earlier on, but is not throwing up a load of dust. If it gets too dusty, then that's when the Bowser goes out and waters the dust down, because it's incredibly unsafe driving through a load of dust or smoke, not knowing what's in there or out the other side. So, Flip Speed proudly splattered on the side of Harry's car there. That's the name of the team that the Flitneys drive under. I suspect that Jess has not had her cross car long enough to have had it decaled up with Flip Speed, but she takes the win in this third heat, and she and young Bro head back to the paddock, no doubt to have a bit of a debrief with Dominic, their dad, and some celebrations for a race well run. We'll wait to see later on, once those in the know have done their calculations on timings and things, to work out who's driving, who's qualified for their finals and in which position on the grid they start. But bear in mind that, as I've said earlier, it's not always an advantage to have pole position on the extreme left-hand side there. It reminds me of an horrific situation that we had this time last year, the first round of the 25 season, when John Cross and Tony Lynch had a very unfortunate coming together as they were leaving the grid. Right, so our last heats are the Clubman 4x4 category, sponsored by MRF tyres, and we have here on the right hand side, if you've followed the BTRDA Clubman's Rallycross, you'll possibly recognise Graham Reed in his Nissan Pulsar 315 on the right hand side. These cars are both four-wheel drive, and taking the lead is a beautifully prepared four-wheel drive Fiesta, which is a brand new car for us, and driven by Tom Halliwell, number 888. So these are likely the most powerful cars that we'll see here today, and are the only ones that are four-wheel drive. So their handling and particularly their traction under these sometimes slippery conditions that we have are the best that we will see today, meaning that their lap time should be very, very quick, possibly the quickest. I say possibly because the senior cross cars that we've seen already, they can lap within a second of the four-wheel drive cars. So if a four-wheel drive, if these drivers are having a bad day, and the cross car is well hooked up and driven very, very quickly over the course of the 4-lap heat, it could be that a cross car is the ultimate fastest car here today. Now, Graham Reed in the Nissan Pulsar, the white and blue car originally from Estonia, it had been used as a rally car. Graham's been campaigning that for several years, and had a number of seasons where the reliability of the Nissan was somewhat lacking, and it was not unusual for him to finish a meeting early and have the car wheeled up onto the trailer and taken home. And thankfully things have improved significantly for him, and the curse of the commentator, he's now slowed right down and almost to a stop and heading back to the paddock. So when you're watching this later on, Graham, I do apologise, it's not me, honest. So leaving us with our newcomer, and it's great to see these new cars coming along, and Tom Halliwell in 888 with this four-wheel drive Fiesta. Now, quite what the history of this particular car is, I'm afraid I don't know. But it's very reminiscent of the cars that have been used in World Rallycross and European Rallycross for many seasons up until recently. And perhaps these cars are now starting to come into the budget of Clubman's drivers, which is all the better for us. Now, it's possible that this may be a car that he's built himself, or on his own, or with others. But Tom's car is right-hand drive, and pretty much all of the factory cars I've seen in this style of Fiesta have been left-hand drive. But here, very clearly, you see Tom sitting on the right-hand side of the car. There he is, yellow gloves ablaze. And in case you're thinking, well, hang on, four-wheel drive Clubman's cars, number 888, isn't that Thomas Romanuskas? Well, clearly it's not. So Thomas can't have entered for this year's championship, because otherwise Thomas's number 888 would have been used by him. So there we go. Tom Halliwell sadly being the only car to finish, and Simon Horton, who was entered and was racing his Subaru Impreza earlier on in the day, wasn't able to make it. And now we have a novelty. We have pickup racing. No, we don't. No, that's clearly some track maintenance going on before we go into our finals. So I'm not sure how long the break will be, but I will rejoin you in a few minutes. But now's a good time if you want to make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. Grab a biscuit, perhaps, if you're feeling extravagant, and we'll be back with you for the finals in a few short minutes. Right, a note from those who know, we are having some track maintenance and we shall resume with our first of our finals this afternoon at 20 past. So we shall see you for then. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Blyton Park in Lincolnshire, where we have the first of this afternoon's finals here at Blyton Park. first round of the 2026 BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross Championship, with the production class sponsored by the MOT Group, with car number 1, the Loughborough College and Wera Tools sponsored Honda Civic of Alex Fletcher leading, and splashing through the water that has just been laid down by the water bowser, making it very difficult to know quite where to brake and how your steering is going to perform. But the big advantage for Alex being out there in front, because he's not got a load of mud and water on his windscreen. That's Martin Peters, and followed by Will Noon, who we saw battling together beautifully earlier on. And so now this afternoon's finals have been reduced to 4 laps, not the 5 or 6 that we would have particularly. That's what we'd expect, but unfortunately, 4 laps only for the finals. So we've got our leader, Alex Fletcher. So we've got Ed Shepherd in the Renault Clio, hot on his heels, car number 45. And as I mentioned earlier on, Ed has only just finished building this car. It's a bit of a shakedown in public, looking for the inside line. Whoa! I'm not sure that was really on, but be a bit of bodywork for the Loughborough College learners to get onto after this race back at base at Loughborough College. So halfway through this race already, and these production boys are going for it. And I checked just a few minutes ago with Alex, and that Honda Civic has done 160,000 plus miles. It was a road car for many years, and just with a little bit of adjustment, changing with some necessary safety mods, the car has been very successful these last 3 years in Alex's hands, and is the current overall BTRDA Clubmans Rallycross champion for last year, 25, and for 24 before that. So the question is, what can he do for this year? Will he be able to retain that particular trophy and championship for himself, and make it the first time for as a third winner? So only one more lap, and we'll know whether Alex goes away with full amount of points for a win. Ed is still stuck really close behind him, going a little bit wide, maybe looking for the switchback. But Will Noon joining in the fun with his Renault Clio, making it all very dicey at the front of the field here. Ed Shepherd almost going agricultural, as Murray Walker would have said, finding the car a little bit unpredictable over the bounces in the water. And the 3 leaders coming out of the slowest, one of the slowest corners of the track in unison, and no quarter being given. My word, it's all very close. Now it's a drag to the last right-hander, and can Alex Fletcher hold on to it, or is Ed Shepherd? No, Alex has done it. Ed Shepherd second, Will Noon third. My word, that was fantastic. If the rest of the race is this afternoon or anything like that, I'm going to need some medication, I think. Heart will be racing. So that's Andy Harris coming in his Suzuki Swift, which we saw taking an unconventional entrance into the first corner straight off the grid. Now I'm very pleased to welcome to the microphone for the finals the boss, John Rook, who is now looking at me in a funny way. I don't really mean the boss. Well, without John and without Jordine, who we saw doing her postman Pat bit earlier on, and the rest of the BTRDA Clubman's Championship committee, we would not have these races for you and for us to watch and enjoy. So I'm delighted that John's joining me, and that's Ben Flynn there, who's had an interesting day, one way and another. Earlier on in the afternoon, he had problems where, if I understand it right, the suspension strut punched its way partly through the bonnet, which is why there's an interesting shape there that Renault hadn't intended. So Ben's clearly keen to get his car recovered without any further damage, and the marshal there trying to get things sorted out. Hopefully the telehandler's on its way, otherwise we could be in for a long old wait. As if by magic, there it is. Superb. And so clearly front wheel drive car with a front engine, all of the weight is at the front there, so we'll see how good the telehandler driver is at gauging the pivot point, the centre of balance. Place your bets now. Okay, I think this could be good. Yeah. Okay, so let's just hope he doesn't go over any more traffic cones, because that could unsettle the balance of the car, as we saw earlier on, and he'll be well away. Clearly, when drivers and teams are putting their cars together, they have to be mindful of the fact that sometimes cars need to be recovered by a telehandler, and therefore the bottom of the car needs to be suitably modified, so there's no brake lines in the way and fuel lines. They'll be safely tucked away inside the car. So clearly someone has dropped a bit of oil in that previous race, and that's not really what we want. Race cars and oil don't go together very well. We're rallycross, we're not drifting. So hopefully the sand or cement that's been deployed onto the oil will soak it up, so there's no further fun and frolics. Got Chris Humphreys in the middle of the mix there, with empty sack in one hand and radio in the other. He's a take control kind of guy. So we'll have our racing back underway as quickly as we can with the car recovered. Whilst we're waiting, there are a few runners and riders who will not be taking any further part in this afternoon's proceedings for various reasons. Earlier on, we saw Geordie Gray in his BMW Compact silver one, which had managed to have some significant tracking and camber problems with the offside front wheel actually hanging off by well, the shock absorber had broken and the bottom wishbone had broken too. So although he's got a spare wishbone with him, he hasn't got the other parts necessary for him to be able to carry on. So that's unfortunate. It's a long journey back up to Scotland and home for our Geordie Gray, and understand as well that Simon Horton won't be able to join us in the Clubman's 4x4 category with his lovely Subaru Impreza. Right, now this is a good time for a little update from John Rook. John, what have you got to tell us?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just going to give a bit of an update on the next final that's going to join us on the grid. So the BMW Mini Final. On pole position is Wesley Wickens, and he had 3 heat wins during the earlier qualifying heats, which was a good start to the day. 299 will be on the second position on the grid, and that's Liam McManus from across the water over in Ireland, and then Leanne Sedgwick will complete the front row, making a return to the BMW Mini class on the outside of the front row. And then on the second row we've got number 83, which is Graham Ives making his Rallycross debut. We've got number 46, which is Paul Woodford, and then on the back row, not sure if he's going to start. I know Mark Finch has had a few issues during the day, including an oil leak. So yeah, on the back row, hopefully we'll see Mark Finch also making a return to the sport in the BMW Mini, and that will be our next final over 4 laps once we clear up the oil leak from the final turn. Well, that was fascinating that. You're saying there, John, that our Wesley has won all 3 heats, given that it was what's I think technically known as a photo finish in the third heats between Wesley and Leanne Sedgwick, who was leading coming out of the hairpin at the far end of the course, and clearly Wesley managed to pip her at the line. Yeah, by a whisker looking at the times. So yeah, smaller than a whisker. He managed to pick off first place. So yeah, Wesley had 3 heat wins, and then the second and third heat positions were shared between Leah and Leanne Sedgwick. They were swapping places between second and third during heats 2 and 3, and then Graham Ives has been consistent with fourth places during the heats, which starts him on the second row of the grid. And then yeah, Paul Woodford had an incident in heat 1, didn't finish, and then he had a 5th and a 5th in heats 2 and 3. Mark Finch has only completed 1 heat so far, which was the first heat, and then he's either sat out the rest waiting for the final, or he may well not start this final, so we'll have to wait and see once they come down to the grid. But like I say, Wesley Wickens will come down on pole position and take up his place on the final grid as soon as we give him the go-ahead.
And there's a lot of orange on that BMW Mini grid. Orange does seem to be a heavily featured colour for some reason. It's just like that.
Yeah, I think it's a commentator's curse, isn't it? It was trying to work out which car's which, and they're all orange. So
yeah, that's it.
We'll do all right.
Well, if all the cross cars were orange, then that would make it even more difficult.
This is true.
There's so little difference to see between them.
Yeah, BMW Minis, they're all built to the same spec. They're an R53 Mini, supercharged engine with tightly controlled specification in terms of the build of the cars. So very much comes down to driver capability and driver experience. Obviously Wesley's been driving the Mini now for 3 years. It's Leah's first event in that Mini, although she does compete in the juniors across in Ireland. It is her first event in this supercharged Mini. And then, like I said, Leanne, who's going to join her on the front row. 2 girls out of 3 on the front row is great news.
It certainly is.
Leanne rejoining the series in her Mini, and I know future rounds she'll either remain in the Mini or she hopes to move up to super modified in a similar car.
I know that we haven't seen Leanne very much in the last couple of years, and it's good to see her back and joining us, we hope, for a whole season, as you say, John, in one of the categories or another. And I know Leanne had one outing last year, and yeah, she's keen to get started again, and made a great start today. But at the same time, must be a little bit disappointed that she was pipped at the post by Wesley on that one particular heat, the third heat. So it looks actually maybe like the track maintenance that was going to go on a little earlier on has either started again or didn't happen, or it could just be that someone has lost an awful lot of oil in that last race, and for reasons of safety, the cement is being put down where it is. Soak it up and then have help the subsequent races to not slip and slide around as much.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it was in that production race that lost the oil, because we had the suspension issue for Ben Flynn, and we know he retired with that, with the strut appearing through the bonnet. But the rest of the drivers all seem to finish. So yeah, not sure where the oil's come from. But whoever has lost it seems to have lost it in more than one place and lost a significant amount by the looks of it.
Yeah. So we need to go around and check dipsticks in the paddock afterwards, then, don't we? Whose dipsticks are dry?
Find where the pool of oil is. Yes.
Charge them for the cement. No, it's not the way it works. But where safety is involved, you can't take shortcuts, and so it's
not
right
concerning oil. No,
right and proper where the marshals are doing a thorough job of spreading the cement and ensuring that it's where it needs to be, when it should be in the engine. But there we are. I'm sure there's some sort of competition that we could invent. Watching all the orange
count the cones,
watching watching the orange overalls. Yeah, who looks most like a cone?
Yeah, I guess while we've got a bit of a gap, it's a good chance to inform people from a calendar perspective what we're doing this year in BTRDA. So obviously this is round one at Blyton Park here on 22nd of March, and then we have a bit of a gap. There's some other rallycross events in the UK, including Five Nations events and Lyddon Legends events down at Lyddon Hill, and then the BTRDA Championship returns back to Blyton on the 28th of June. And then again we have a month's gap, and round 3 takes place a joint meeting with the Five Nations as a two-wheel drive Super Pre event at Lyddon Hill on July the 25th. And then we move down to South Wales in Pembury on September the 26th and 27th for another joint round with the Five Nations. Should be a great two-day meeting down at Pembury. Last year's meeting had a huge entry, and circuit manager once told me that was their biggest crowd they've seen for a number of years. So looking forward to another event down at Pembury. And then we finish the season off with double points and the final round of the year at Knockhill up in sunny Scotland on the 18th of October. That's our 6-round championship. From a championship perspective, from an overall perspective, it's all rounds count, all 6 rounds. From a classes and categories perspective, we do allow the drivers to have one dropped score, so they count their best 5 from 6. So anyone that has had a disappointing and bad day today, it doesn't necessarily write them off for the rest of the year. So yeah, good compact 6-round championship. Bit of a gap between now and the end of June. I know some drivers will go off and do some other meetings, but then once we get into June, pretty much they're every month until the end of the year when we finish at Knockhill in October. I think we've got cars coming down to the grid now. So yeah, number 51 Wesley Wickens will come down on the pole position. Liam McManus on the middle of the front row, and then on the outside in the yellowy orange machine is Leanne Sedgwick. And then on the second row we're going to have Graham Ives making his Rallycross debut, alongside him Paul Woodford also making his Rallycross debut. And then I did see Mark Finch, obviously been saving the car during Heats 2 and Heat 3, decided not to come out, but it does mean he can start the final from the back row, so that's great news. We've got Mark out as well. So a good compact 6-car grid over 4 laps, and yeah, let's see who comes out on top.
My money's on one of the orange minis. And of course, I'm just noticing that Mark Finch's wheels and roof are orangey as well. So he's sort of keeping it on theme, really. But great to see these cars are so similar in their build and specification that it does come down to the finer points of preparation. In the case of both Wesley in 51 there on the right hand side, and behind him Mark Finch on the looser surface, the rougher surface on the right hand side there, which is sort of basically concrete, and off the racing line, which is generally kept clear. Although the one good thing here, John, is they won't be involved with the oil on the grid, which we can see on the left hand side there. We've got cars either on it or
the
around
grid not so much, but I think going through the final turn, the end
everyone
of
will be on
1, 2, 3
it.
and 4, it could be a bit hairy, but let's see. Just wait for the telehandler to clear the circuit, and then I know these 6 cars will be under starters orders, and then we'll be away. The other thing not to forget as well, closely specified cars, but the cars are also on a controlled MRF tyre as well at the same time, so keeps them on the same black stuff that goes round. Just waiting for the marshals on the grid to get them under control, and then once we're under control, we can get going.
Yeah, I dare say there'll be a bit of change. Drivers have their own preferences for tyre pressures, front and rear.
Thumbs up, and we're just waiting for the lights, and then we'll be off.
Yeah. Engines rise and
away
away
we go. Fairly even start across all of them. We're going to see Leah and Wes all fighting it out going into turn 1.
And Leanne's taking a wonderful. Wow!
Paul Woodford's spun from the back there, going into turn 1 with a bit more pace than expected. So possibly caught the oil, because there was oil going into turn 1. But anyway, up front we've got Leanne Sedgwick, followed by Liam McManus, and then Wesley Wickens slotted into 3rd place. So Wes has not had the best of start. Let's see what he can do over the next 4 laps.
I can't imagine he'd be happy being in 3rd. So we've got a fight on our hands. Unfortunately, only 4 laps rather than 5 or 6 that we might have expected. But nevertheless, it's quality, not quantity. And there's heading into hairpin for the first time, and Leanne doing what she was doing earlier on, getting away sweetly from there, getting her power down, ready for the final corner of this first lap, with Liam McManus and Wesley Wickens very close.
Come through the final turn.
Yeah, kicking up the cement dust.
So Leanne goes into lap number 2 and down to turn 1, still leading from Liam McManus and Wesley Wickens. Then Graham Ives in 4th place. And then Mark Finch, good to see him keep going, so he's in 5th at the moment. And then Paul Woodford at spun in turn 1.
He'll still be going somewhere. There he is in the background, just going in around the first corner. So it's a bit of a task to pull that one back for Paul, I suspect. But nevertheless, he'll be enjoying himself and have plenty to say on his podcast.
Leanne's got a bit of a gap and a bit of a lead now, but Wesley seems to be closing down onto the back of Leah. Let's see if we can see some position changes going into laps 2 and into laps 3.
Well, you have to say that Wesley's got the experience.
Definitely got the experience
of the track and of this specification of car. But they have both climbed up onto the back of Leanne. So it's as though, she's lost pace.
McManus right on the bumper now of
through the
Leanne,
cloud,
and then Wesley in 3rd place.
Through the cloud of the smoke.
And then Mark Finch in 5th place.
And Leah going to block Wesley from his manoeuvre around the outside, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, some good defending there from Leah's managed to keep Wesley behind, because Wesley was switching left and switching right. And again, Leanne seems to have got a bit of a...
Thank you very much, I'll get on with it, yeah.
Graham Ives in a safe 4th place, looking at that, and then Mark Finch is in 5th, so
Graham's possibly wiping his, just playing a waiting game, ready for some shenanigans up in front.
Yeah, possibly. Anything can happen in Rallycross, we know that.
And it usually does. Like just in the break before the final started, we had a learner driver pull up in a learner car into the paddock. I don't know how that happened, but we have to expect the unexpected. It's Rallycross.
Definitely. But as they're coming around to start the final lap, Leanne goes on to her final lap with a small lead over and above Leah, and then we've got Wesley in third place, and yeah, still, although they're closer,
ducking and diving.
we've got Graham Ives in fourth, and then Mark Finch in fifth. But yeah, they're ducking and diving at the front, and who's going to be brave and try and put a move down the inside or the outside on this final lap to try and get the win?
At this stage, John, I'm very impressed with Leah's driving. That she's been so defensive, very mature in her approach. She's not been put off by the orange Mini immediately behind. And Wes is out. Oh no!
Didn't see what happened there, but Wesley has stopped.
Could be something as simple as a puncture.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, very good points there on Leah. So yeah, first ever event in this supercharged Mini. She's been driving the junior car.
And now vying for the lead.
Yeah, she's got an inside line there on Leanne, but didn't quite do it. Leanne seemed to have a bit more drive out of the corner.
Yeah.
Comes around for the flag. So yeah, Leanne Sedgwick takes the win. Liam McManus takes an excellent second place.
Well done, ladies. Brilliant drive.
And then
Great
Graham
racing.
Ives picks up a great third place in his rally
first
ever Rallycross event. And then in fourth place, Mark Finch. After all his dramas during the day, I'm sure you're pleased to get.
He'll be happy with that, I'm sure. Yeah.
In fourth place and still.
So Paul Woodford.
We're going to get a replay of what happened with Wesley. So yeah, he just seemed to slow up for some reason.
It's okay
Whether
there.
He killed the ignition maybe or something, but maybe I don't know, the engine just seemed to die, and he came to a grinding halt. And there's Paul Woodford again on his Rallycross debut, just coming over the line for the final finisher in fifth place.
It'll be interesting to hear his thoughts later about the comparison with rallying, with a sport that he's much more used to, and having grown up in it and been driven and co-driven in rallying, and he's watched and enjoyed Rallycross for many years as a spectator, and first proper opportunity to try it for himself, but hasn't quite worked out for him today, but hopefully there'll be opportunity another time.
Okay, great. So as Wesley's about to get collected by the recovery truck, we've got the Super Modified A final coming to the start line. On pole position, we've got Fred Ling in his Ford Fiesta. Middle of the front row, we've got number 20, Paul Coney in his Vauxhall Corsa, who had a great heat win earlier on today, cleared the field by over 10 seconds, so a great win from Paul. I think it was the third heat. David Bell on the outside in his All 4 Countryman, two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive. Second row, another All 4 Countryman. Number 18, Andy Hawkes, who's had dramas during the day, but he's managed to make it onto the second row of the grid, so that's great news. Number 9 next to him is Steve Rattu in the MG-ZR Turbo, and then on the back row of the grid, dramas in Heat 1 and Heat 2. Dale Ford, I think with a bottom ball joint that broke, I think in practice, which put him out through Heat 1 and Heat 2, but he is back, did the third heats, put it on himself on the back row of the final, so he'd be one to watch. In his Corsa, George Gray, I think as Steve rightly said earlier on, got mechanical woes that he's not been able to fix whilst on site, so he won't be starting the back row in the middle. And then on the outside, we've got Callum Scott in his Suzuki Swift Sport. Former autocross man, done a lot of autocross. His dad, Darren, is normally driving his Super 1600 C2, which we'll see out in action from July onwards down on Lyddon Hill. But there's Callum also making his Rallycross debut in that Suzuki Swift on the back row. So very diverse grid of cars. There's only the two All 4 Countrymans that are the same in terms of chassis. A couple of courses, I guess, as well. But
it's a good variety of cars,
and I think battle will be on between Fred and Paul Coney based upon times during the heats.
Not if David Bell has anything to say about it.
Indeed, yeah. Fred's just edged it, I think, by about a second over Paul during the heat times, but I think it will be close. And then I'm sure Dale will want to come through from the back row as well, because like I say, he had dramas earlier on. So
Wesley's on stealth mode. The engine's very quiet.
And again, they say final is going to be over 4 laps.
Yes, not a final I'd want to call, John.
It'll be definitely between Fred and Paul, I think. But then anything can happen. David will be looking to snatch a good result if he can. Last year's Super Modified champion, and we know that Dale Ford, like I say, from the back row will also be trying his luck to work his way through, but as we know, anything can happen in rallycross. So yeah, let's see what happens. A couple of noticeable absentees from the Super Modifieds this weekend. So Richard Moore with his Mercedes SLK broke a gearbox casing here in the test day, so he'll be back for round 2. And then Sam Jones in his Suzuki will also be back from round 2 onwards, along with a couple of other super modified cars. So yeah, I think this field will continue to grow as the year gets on. So yeah, wait for the lights now, and we're away.
Off we go.
So yeah, great start by Paul Coney. I think he's going to
he's got the edge, has he? Yes, he has got the edge. Yep.
Of Fred as we go into turn 1.
Maybe it's that oil again, isn't it?
Yeah, he's possibly clipped the oil.
Golly.
Going into turn 1, so awful spin there for Mr. Coney. But anyway, up front, it's Fred Ling in his Ford Fiesta Estate, lead by David Bell in second place.
But anything can happen, and just when you had a little bit of extra oil on the track, we don't. Personally, I don't like seeing cars slipping off because of that sort of thing, and I don't like to see cars getting damaged with crash damage. But I'd much rather see good, clean, honest racing, and that's. Whoa!
Neil Ford's gone extremely wide there. Not sure what.
Trying too hard, maybe
hard. Then, but he ended up on all the gravel and all the marbles on the outside, and went very wide.
Too hard, too late on the brakes, maybe.
Very possibly. Yeah, Fred Ling up front, David Bell in second, and
Steve Rattu's going to be happy with his performance.
Got a great place there in 4th place with the Suzuki.
Yeah. And Andy Hawkes a lot less so, with seemingly going very slowly at the back there.
Dale Ford has now picked up what is 4th place.
Yes.
Callum Scott. Paul Coney's now caught up to the back of the pack, overtaken Andy Hawkes, about to overtake Callum Scott.
Yeah.
And is now going to chase down
the rest
of the field, although he has gone wide.
There is that phenomenon of overdriving, isn't there? You try too hard, and maybe Dale Ford
you try too hard, and you actually go end up overdriving. So I still expect Paul to be able to pick off a couple of these cars, to be fair. So yeah, we'll see what happens going through these twists and turns, and then down the quick straight.
It's certainly a great test driving around this track. With some more technical parts, and then there's the power elements like the main straight that they're now careening down, or about to, and so clearly Paul Coney's made up two places in less than half a lap, so that's I imagine there'll be some frustration in the cockpit there, that he'll.
Great move by Dale Ford.
Oh my word! Yes,
putting between Dale Ford and
putting his car right in the way. But has he damaged it?
Dale's now stopping, unfortunately.
Yeah, seems to be a green light under the.
There is a green light underneath. Not sure what that is.
No.
It's a bit weird.
Maybe the robots have taken over.
David Bell's keeping Fred honest.
Yeah.
But, David's having a good drive there in second place. I think that'll make Steve Rattu possibly back up to 3rd. Let's have a look at the positions as we go into the final lap.
Or Paul Coney's probably still in 3rd, but how far behind is he? There he is.
Yeah, it is Paul Coney. So Paul's come up from leading into turn 1, spinning in turn 1, and now he's in 3rd place. Not sure where the rest of the pack's gone.
Yeah. Well, it demonstrates as well the amazing speed that both Fred and David have at the front of the field. They've been able to pull that sort of a gap. So Dale's pulled off, but thankfully out of harm's way, so we're not had to have the race red flagged, which, considering we're on the last lap anyway, would be a great shame. But there's still not much in it. I mean, only needs for Fred.
Either Fred's driving within his limits, or David's driving the race of his life. But David's certainly keeping him honest.
Yeah.
He's not a million miles away as they're coming around for the flag. But I think it is going to be one more turn to go. It is going to be a win for Fred Ling.
Yeah.
Second place for David Bell.
But not by much.
A battle behind. I can just see in the background it looked like Callum Scott was trying to overtake the MGZR, and he has got
done it, yes. Yeah, well done, young lad.
I think think that'll be Paul Coney coming over the line in third place.
Yeah.
So this is the battle for fourth.
Fourth and fifth, yes.
And at the moment, Callum's in his Rallycross debut. There's Paul Coney finished third. And now we're going to have a drag down
power
to the
drag,
line.
yes.
The more powerful turbocharged MGZR on the outside. And are they?
Whoa! Oh! Goodness me!
I'm
Right.
not sure if that was a spin or a slight nudge, but either which way, Callum claimed fourth there, I think, possibly.
Well, he certainly got back to the paddock in
Don't think
fourth,
the
but
M-
whether
don't think the
whether the
MG quite
time
got over the line. So Andy will be classified fifth there, possibly
Oh.
the MG will be in sixth, and then obviously non-finisher for Dale Ford,
yeah.
unfortunately. But
Here we go again. So
yeah, 2 into 1's not gonna go. Yeah, it's difficult to see if there was any contact on that side. Not sure. I don't think the
Depends on
MG
the
went over the line.
No,
I'm not sure.
no.
So if he'd have
he went over the first white line, but
reversed a bit, he would have gone over it, I think.
yeah.
I'll have to ask Dale what that green light is. There's definitely a green light under the bonnet. Maybe he's got gremlins in there or something, possibly. Don't know.
I think the robots are taking over.
Not sure.
I
It's
saw
definitely a green light,
I saw a
whatever it
documentary
was.
about that a few years ago with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh no, that wasn't a documentary; it was a film. Terminator. So, yeah, I don't think Terminators have taken over the cars, but it will be interesting to find out what's caused Dale to park it up on the green stuff. So sadly, there'll be a recovery, but we can see the telehandler's on it already. I've got a stranded car from earlier on, which again is out of harm's way, so that will likely stay for the afternoon, because we're on, as is often the way, we're on a fairly tight time frame. And one of the criteria for all of the cars racing, whether they're cross cars or normal four-seaters, is they'll have to be able to rev and stay below a certain acoustic decibel level, so there are restrictions.
So the next grid going down to the next pack of cars going down to the finals and down to the grids is going to be the Motorsport UK Cross Car A Final. On pole position, we've got number 61, Bradley Turner. On second, on the middle of the front row, is going to be number 53, James Black. And on the outside, number 19 is Teddy McPherson. On the second row, having fairly, I guess, inconsistent time during the heats, is number 581, that's David Kane. That's last year's, I think he won 3 of the last 4 rounds of the championship last year, David Kane in Speed Car Wonder R. Alongside him, we've got number 88, which is James Constantine, making his debut in the TN11. Previously driving a TN5 in cross cars, but he's got brand new TN11 this weekend. And on the back row of the grid, number 5, Will Ovenden, which again had mixed results during the heat. So I think Will Ovenden and David Kane on the second and third rows respectively will be 2 drivers to watch, because they had difficulties, shall I say, during the heats and a tough time. So I think they'll be looking to come through from the second row and third row on this grid. But
I think
pole position is Bradley Turner in his TN11, winning all 3 of the heats, and to be said, probably a fairly dominant performance during the heats, to be fair.
Yeah.
Alongside him, James Black, normally a circuit racer. I think he was at Donington yesterday doing some work with the Junior Saloon Car Championship, but yeah, second on the grid, and only ever his second cross car event and second ever rallycross event, I think, from what I understand. I think his first event was last November when he hired one of these vehicles. And then Teddy McPherson's on the outside, so the former junior driver in the Suzuki Swift has now made the full-time switch into cross cars. He dabbled with it a little bit last year, but he has made the decision this year to commit to the cross cars, and it's great to see him on the front row. So great front row. I think David Kane and Will Ovenden will be challenging through from second and third rows, and never discount James Constantine also starting on the second row, again making his debut in the TN11. A bit different to drive from the TN5, but seems to be liking it. Qualified on 5th place on the grid and had some good heat races. So yeah, first round of the championship. It's going to be a 12 round championship for the cross car championship. They do all of the BTRDA Rallycross Championship rounds, as well as all the Five Nations rounds, as well as all the joint meetings. So they've got a busy schedule. 12 rounds, 3 drop scores. So yeah, they'll be using all the circuits in the UK. They also go across to Blyton Park over in Ireland in May, and then in August they go across to Valkenswaard over in Holland as well. So they get two trips across the water. Great diversity of circuits. I think makes 5 circuits or 6 circuits they'll be using. So great news for these guys.
Of course, we know that the cross cars are incredibly popular on the continent as well, and where there are 30, 40 of these machines regularly turning up to meetings in the European countries. So, but here we're looking at a terrific grid before us, and has noticed that Will Ovenden has got 2 disadvantages at this stage. One is he, like Brad Turner, he's on the rough stuff on the inside of the track there. But the other thing is that he's the only one without a proper windscreen. I know he uses rip-offs on his goggles on his instead, but I know earlier on today, after the Bowser had been out, it was very, very sticky, hard going to see where certain cars, where people were, where you were going, and will likely have that problem unless he's got a gap in front of him.
So here we go. The cross cars are under starters orders, and yeah, let's see what happens as we go down into to turn 1.
There you go.
And as we go away from the line, it's a fairly even start across the front of the line. Across the front of the
Brad
grid.
Turner's perhaps holding his
Small
position.
Bit of contact
Teddy
there between James Black and Teddy McPherson, but
wheels
David
touching.
Kane's managed to come through from the second row on the grid, and now sits somewhere between second and third. But it's Bradley Turner up front. James Black's in second, Teddy McPherson's third. Will Ovenden's made his way up the back row of the grid up to 4th place. It's a great start for Will. David Kane, that was somewhere between second and third, has now gone back to 5th, possibly because he couldn't see where he was going.
Yeah, quite likely.
James Constantine at the moment picking up tail of the field. But, as we come round through these tight and twisty turns, we've got Bradley Turner up front, James Black in second. 2 different machines. We've got the TN11 from LifeLive up front. We've got the McGall in second and third.
Will has taken third from Teddy McPherson, who's now in 4th.
I was concentrating on the front, but they're all fairly close behind between Will, David Kane, Teddy McPherson. So yeah, they are very, very close behind, and then James Constantine's at the back. So I'd expect David Kane to try and make his way through from what, for by his standards, is a fairly lowly position down there in 5th place. But try and round the outside. Hopefully trying to make the switch going across this loose section. Windscreen wipers frantically going to try and clear the way so these drivers can see where they're going. The only driver that can see where he's going at the moment is Bradley Turner out front, which seems to have a small gap with James Black. And in 3rd place is Will Ovenden. And then yeah, still this battles between 4th and 5th between Teddy McPherson and David Kane.
You can see the front suspension lifting as the Bradley Turner machine is under stiff acceleration, and then slamming down again under braking. It's
got a change
great
there,
to see.
I think, possibly between David Kane and Teddy McPherson.
2 round that corner,
4th and 5th, and they're still side by
they
side.
made it. Goodness me, yes.
It's great that they didn't manage to have contact. They're still going side by side, going into turn 1. David Kane's trying to go around the outside.
David Kane's using every trick he knows, isn't he, to try and get past Teddy McPherson, and it's just not happening for him quite yet.
Yeah, so we've got three manufacturers on the grid here. The only consistent piece between all of them is the MRF tyres that they're all on, and the engine, the MT09 engine, is all the same in all those vehicles. But yeah, 3 different chassis. We've got the LifeLive TN11, the Speed Car Wonder R, and we've also got the McGall, the Ligier, which currently is sitting in 2nd and 3rd place, which is great. Again, diversity of the class, but actually modified in terms of diversity, which is great news. We've got the final lap, great lead at the moment by Adrian Turner. 2nd place, you'll only go 2nd head of the Rallycross event, James Black. Will Ovenden's in 3rd. They come from the same team, so that's 1 over Will over in Heat 1, or round 1 I should say. And then the battle was ongoing for 4th and 5th between David Kane and Teddy McPherson.
And Teddy's still fending off the attentions of David Kane.
Great there to fend off David Kane. James Constantine still getting used to the vehicle there in 5th place.
I think perhaps David's
up front.
David's driving so hard he's possibly costing himself some time there, just frantically trying to get past Teddy, who's for all of his young years is showing a very level head and good skill. But
and that's a win.
Our leader
for Adrian
turns into our
Bradley Turner. Sorry, Adrian's dad. Bradley Turner wins. James Black in 2nd place in the Ligier. David Kane has managed to get the place, I think.
Yes.
Or did he not?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. There was
David Kane got 4th, Teddy McPherson in 5th, and then coming home in 6th place will be James Constantine.
Wow. I can only expect that coming into the hairpin that David Kane had a better drive coming out of it, and was able to outdrag Teddy McPherson.
Yeah, the oil seemed to be causing his problems, I think. Davey was trying to do various moves around the outside for 2 or 3 laps, but it didn't work. Teddy held his line, fend him off until 2 turns from the end, I think.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So good. We move on to Classic. So the Classic A final, and on pole position is Mark Jones with the Toyota MR2 turbo rear-wheel drive. In 2nd position, middle of the front row is number 24. That's Thomas Edmonds in his Vauxhall Corsa C, and on the outside of the front row, number 97 Vince Bristow in the flamboyant BMW 318. And then on the 2nd row, number 50, that's Steve Cousins in the very rapid rear-engined, rear-wheel drive, turbocharged Renault 5, making his debut in the BTRDA Championship. And I think he said to me yesterday it's his first time being back to Blyton for about 15 years. So he's done well to qualify on the 2nd row. And then joining him on the 2nd row is number 49 Steve Gorn, who's the 2025 Classic champion. So a good consistent day qualifying on the 2nd row. And then on the back row got number 73 Messi Evans in the Peugeot 205, and then a non-starter with number 170 Darrell Ambrose, who's got engine dramas, I think in Heat 2 or Heat 3, which has put him out for the rest of the day. But otherwise Darrell would have been starting on the back row of the grid with the rear-wheel drive Peugeot 205, but he should be back from June onwards with a hopefully not too expensive engine rebuild.
Yeah, hope
the grid is now under starters' orders. Let's see how things go down at turn 1 with this oil still playing its part. Popping and bangings from the Toyota MR2 on the front row, and let's see
Steve
how we
Cousins
go.
making a fantastic
start there from the 2nd row
to take the lead. Yes, he's closed the door on Mark Jones. Remarkable. It's very good weight distribution on that Renault, with it being mid-engined and much of the weight over the driven rear wheels. So not for the first time he's been able to make a very good start. But then Mark Jones' car is a similar layout. So amazing.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, now Steve out front. We got fairly clean through the first few turns. Mark Jones there, qualified in pole, now on second place in the race. Vince Bristow in 3rd. Thomas Edmonds dropped back to 4th. Got another Corsa for Steve Gordon in 5th. Then Messi Evans picking up the rear with the Peugeot 205. Will be close them down. But yeah, it's fairly tight between them, to be fair. Vince, the 2 Corsas, and then the Peugeot 205 is a fairly close battle. And again, it's great, similar to Super Modified, really great to see a diverse grid of cars. There's only the 2 Corsas which are
similar,
same chassis. No, and the Renault's slow.
Oh, well, we saw that on the 3rd heats when suddenly Steve Cousins lost speed. So whether it's the same problem or not, we don't know.
Steve has slowed up, coming now.
Still going?
I can see him going round at the back of this. Maybe he's picked back up speed, I'm not sure. But Mark Jones has picked up the lead. Vince is trying his best to keep him honest, and he is. He's right on the rear bumper there for the first two places.
Right on the
bumper.
Yeah.
And we got the followed by the two coursers. Thomas Edmonds is leading them. Yeah, Steve Gaun's not too far away, and Messi Evans as well. So you have a real close battle between first and fifth. So I think the MR2's got the legs down the start and finish straight, down the straighty bits. But I think Vince and the courser behind will have him in the twisty section. So yeah, let's see how this pans out over the next 2 laps.
No one does twisty bits like Vince Bristow. That he manages to get that BMW all sorts of interesting angles. And
Vince will do all he can to chase him down, and he will do down the start and finish straight. He'll know he needs to keep as close as he can before he gets into the twisty section. So
meanwhile, the Welshman up front using all the power he can muster from that turbocharged Toyota engine. But oh golly, Vince was so much faster going into the corner that he had to brake twice and steer.
Anchor on the brakes and steer at the same time, I think. But he's caught back up on the MR2, and he's now down the inside.
Makes you wonder whether
the
there's
MR2.
something wrong there with Mark Jones' car.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just. I know Mark Jones earlier on was running on full slicks.
Oh.
So if that loose section is as wet as what it looks, then full slicks is going to cause a challenge for Mark. But I reckon we have a great battle now, because Vince has got in front. And
he's very, very difficult to overtake, because he makes that BMW so wide.
Yeah, let's see if Mark can stay close to him down the start and finish straight. And down this straight here.
And again, the Toyota should have more power, but
he's moving left and moving right behind Vince. So we're going to start our final lap. We'll see what happens down the start and finish straight. I think if Mark doesn't get him down the start and finish straight, I think
Vince
that'll be
probably got
race. I think, but Vince will protect the inside, I think, and he does indeed. So yeah, Vince goes through turn 1 in the lead, and I think will, unless there's a mistake, he'll come out of the last corner in the lead as well. So Mark Jones in second, and then we had a battle for third, fourth, and fifth between the two coursers, and Messi Evans, with flamboyant Vince going across the loose.
Yeah. So flamboyant, he's even had time to put a face pack on the BMW.
He has indeed.
Great character in the paddock and out on track as well. So
yeah, and I noticed as well, obviously, the Renault 5 of Steve Cousins must have retired back to the paddock. I've not seen him continuing around. He was continuing after the first lap, but he must have retired back to the paddock. But
sad to see.
We're now going through the final few turns.
Oh,
that was very
I thought that was going to be an accident.
Right close behind Steve Gaun, but
last of the late breakers.
Briscoe in the BMW is going to come through to the flag and take the win. Second place for Mark Jones. And then third place, good result for Thomas Edmonds. Fourth for Steve Gaun. And Messi Evans. Very, very close behind was Messi Evans.
I think Messi should be very pleased with that result.
Great battle up the front. Shame we lost the Renault. I think the Renault in with the BMW and the Toyota would have been a great race. But such a shame for Steve. But you said in Heat 3 he had the same problem, did he?
Well, he did have the same problem. Or suddenly slowed down.
See where he was going.
Yes.
But I didn't hear what had happened in Heat 3. So interesting you say that he lost power. But yes, hopefully he can get it sorted for future rounds. Hopefully.
Very much hope so. Yes, it's great to see Steve back in the BTRDA, and also with that Renault 5, because it's a terrific looking car, and I don't think anything else that we've seen today will comes off the start line in quite the way that car does.
So the next final going down to the grid is the Motorsport UK Junior Cross Car A Final. This championship making its debut in the UK this year, and this is their first official round. They did have, I suppose, a demonstration round down at the Five Nations event in November last year, but this is their first official championship round. They're going to follow the same calendar as the seniors, so 12 rounds, across the water twice, Mondello and Valkenswaard respectively. And these guys have had some fairly frantic battles during the day, a few troublesome heats, but we've come out the other side of it with 3 vehicles. Unfortunately, one of them did roll in heat number 2, so we have lost number 43, which was Ethan Hooker. But the grid itself, number 37 on pole position, which is Jessica Flitney, the daughter of supercar driver Dom Flitney. Middle of the front row is Phoebe Cake, and on the outside, number 15, Harry Flitney. So Harry and Jess are brother and sister, and away we go. And it's Phoebe Cake that makes the best start going off the line.
Yeah.
And will lead down into turn 1. And think Jess Flitney was the one in second place, and then in third place was Harry Flitney. So yeah, the brother and sister battle for second and third place. So yeah, Phoebe Cake's most definitely the most experienced driver out there. She's been off doing supercar lights last year over in Rally X. Obviously, she's been doing the junior championship in the Suzuki Swift for a number of seasons as well, and now she's picking up the TN11 and doing a full Motorsport UK Junior Cross Car Championship. And this category is going to continue to grow. We've got four cars here for round number 1, and I know there's at least another 3 or 4 drivers that are looking for vehicles to try and come out from. And Phoebe's gone off.
Gone agricultural.
Don't know what happened then, but Phoebe's decided to go back to grass tracking, I think.
Yeah. Well,
and,
I know.
Yeah, not sure what's happened. Not sure what's happened there, but she's
still spinning around.
To do donuts.
Bit too soon on the throttle.
On the
I think.
Power, I think so. But anyway, Jess Flitney is now taking up the lead. Harry Flitney, her brother, in second place, and then Phoebe Cake will be now in third place. And I'm sure now, as I was saying, most experienced driver. Yeah, just coming through.
Hard on the brakes for the hairpin. And then what happens?
On the brakes.
Understeer.
Huge amounts of understeer.
Now I know from my own experience driving.
Don't know if there's
driving
any oil
here
down there possibly, but yeah.
That if
That's
you're
right, you had some experience in one of these, did you not?
I have, yeah, and it's an amazing.
As quick as these juniors, Steve.
I'd like to think I was.
The answer is yes.
And the thing is, with these, you can't be half-hearted. You have to be very determined. And I suspect that Phoebe wasn't quite hard enough.
Change of position between second and third place. So Phoebe's now back up to second place
on the brakes. That was good. Very good manoeuvre.
Up there. You were talking about your cross car experience.
So thank you for reminding me.
I'll never let you forget.
Oh, I won't forget. Don't worry. It's one of those experiences that I think everyone should do.
I think Phoebe's now going to go down for the lead here. So
now,
Phoebe's got the lead.
If she's not hard enough on the throttle, the back of the car won't come round and it'll understeer again. I think if you're a little bit too sensitive or holding back a little bit as you take the corner,
the more mistakes you end up with. Is that what you're trying to say?
The car decides it wants to go straight ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have to steer with the back of the car as much as with the steering wheel. So
here we are. We've got Phoebe Cake
made up for her contretemps earlier on.
Indeed, she has. Indeed, she's gone from the front to the back and back to the front again. So Phoebe's back up front. We've got Jess Flitney in second place, and then we've got her brother Harry Flitney in third place. So
it's just wonderful watching the suspension absorbing the bangs and pops and things over this loose bit. Yeah. It's excellent.
One manufacturer here, so 2 different chassis made by Life Live. So we've got the TN5, which is the one there that Harry's driving. You can see he's now overtaken Jess Flitney's at the rear of the field in the TN11, which is the same chassis as what Phoebe Cake's got up front, but all 3 of them got the same engine. So same engine, same tyres. So they've all got the MT07 engine. Roughly, it's a 689cc engine, roughly around 90-95 brake horsepower. So fairly restricted machines, but a great way to learn the skill within junior rallycross.
Absolutely.
And certainly from European seasons and European championships and national championships across Europe, this junior category is certainly the place to start in the sport. And now we've got 4 out there, or 3 on the track. We had obviously the retiree with James Hooker, ruled in heat number 2, but I think once we get 4 now, I think potentially by the Easter weekend we might have 6. And Phoebe's really struggling. I wonder if she's got issues.
Is
it what you were saying? Not driving from the rear.
I'd like to think that having had the experience myself, because I have had a go myself,
Yes, you have. Have you told me that? I didn't know that.
I don't think I have told you.
No. Tell me all about it.
Okay, well I will. So. Yeah, steering from the back. They are so responsive to everything you do, whether it's with your feet or with your hands. It's a little bit like wearing a glove with a big engine on the back and lovely knobbly tyres, which is a strange way of describing it, but that's the best I can do. And it's you just have to take it by the horns and rag it. I think would be another technical way of doing it. Thank you. Rag it. Yep.
So here we are through the final turn then. So Phoebe Cake's going to take a dramatic win, I guess, from the front to the back and back to the front again.
She did make it difficult for herself, but it made it entertaining for us. So,
and obviously she's the most experienced in the field. Harry Flitney, first ever rallycross event, coming home in second place. Well done, Harry. And then in third place, Jess Flitney.
So Harry earning bragging rights for the journey home and the Flitney household.
Yeah, I reckon that'll be an uncomfortable journey back home, I reckon. And but the brother comes out on top.
Yeah. And of course,
now we're going to move into our
Ethan, who rolled his car. It's a car run by Flit Speed, so there's a very heavy Flitney involvement in the junior cross cars.
There is, yeah. So Dom Flitney, the dad, has taken over the running of the junior cross cars in the UK, and is running these 4 vehicles. So great news and great family affair, which is good to see. And here we are. We come down to the final race of the day. So our Clubman 4x4s, and on pole position, although he had dramas in heat number 3, I think it was, and broke a drive shaft and damaged some of his subframe, Simon Horton's put it on pole position, the Subaru Impreza, making the return to the sport after a number of seasons off. Middle of the front row, regular in the BTRDA Championship in this category, number 315 in his Nissan Pulsar, originally from Estonia. The car's from Estonia, Graham's from Scotland.
He is, no, he's not Estonian.
Middle of the front row, and then on the outside, making his rallycross debut, is the BMW Challenge circuit manager and circuit racing manager, and that's Tom Halliwell in his Ford Fiesta Mark 7. In all intents and purposes, rally spec, but great start from Simon Horton. Simon Horton leads them away. And I know in earlier heats, Simon Horton and Graham Reid had amazing battles between the two of them, swapping positions all the time. And great to see Graham now picking up second place and Tom Halliwell in third. So I know Tom's been gaining speed all day, but he's only got about 280, 300 brake, whereas the two in front have got a couple of hundred horsepower more. So I know if Tom enjoys it, he's certainly going to stick with rallycross. I think he's signed up to the MDA Championship, so he plans on doing the 2 Blyton meetings and the Knockhill event. So it's great news.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me yesterday about building a BMW Mini Countryman, an all-4 Countryman for Clubman 4x4 with a Mitsubishi Evo engine in it. So that should be
that'll be something to look forward to.
That'll be a good car for later in the season. So let's hopefully Tom's enjoyed it enough to stick with it. But anyway, out front we've got Simon Horton.
Simon's been a feature, if not a fixture, in the Rallycross paddock the last year or two, helping out Steve Rettu, who we saw earlier on, with the turbocharged MG ZR with the Audi engine. But it is great to see Simon deciding, after several years of not driving, not racing himself, to have a go back again. And this is another one that's going to be a hard one to call. These cars are clearly stronger in different places around the track, which makes it interesting and difficult to
the Fiesta seems a lot better and a lot more set up through the twisty bits, I think.
Yeah.
And he seems to gain on Graham Reid and get very close, and then Graham just seems to have the power down the straights. But Tom's keeping him honest.
Yes.
And keeping close enough. But the three of them have had good battles during the heats. We only had the one DNF from Simon earlier on when he had the issue with the subframe and the drive shaft. Second and third were still fairly close, but it's the Nissan Pulsar, Graham Reid in second place at the moment, and then in third place was Tom Halliwell. So I don't know if it's just my eyes.
Oh, hello.
Or my eyes deceive me. You're going to say they were gaining on Simon, but Simon has retired.
Oh gosh.
And as he retires, Tom Halliwell's now making a.
I thought you said that Fiesta had less power than the Pulsar.
Yes, it did. It does. But they're having a great battle. But down that start and finish straight, the Fiesta certainly seems to come into its own.
Yeah.
And momentarily did take the lead in the race, but then Graham's fought back, which is good to see. And Graham's been following the BTRDA Championship for a number of seasons, and generally, with the exception sometimes when Derek Jobb's been out there with him, has generally been racing by himself in this car and category. So it's great to see we've got Tom not only out there but also keeping Graham honest, and obviously good to see Simon out there as well.
Absolutely. Makes you then wonder if we might get some other cars as well. It's good to see Chris Baker.
Simon's car, and Tom's switching left, switching right.
I know we've got Chris Baker in spectating here today. Of course, has run with us for a few seasons
4x4,
in
yes.
the Subaru
Here we go again
Impreza.
down the start and finish straight. Graham really seems to struggle out that last turn.
Yes, it doesn't have the drive out of it, does he?
But Tom Halliwell's taken the lead.
He's further ahead
Whether
now
he's
than he
gonna
has been.
maintain that lead, I don't know. Momentarily goes straight on.
I think he may be trying a little too hard, perhaps.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Trying a little bit too hard, not sure. But he always seems to, I don't know, miss a gear coming out of that last turn. Drops back.
So it's still a difficult one to predict, even at this stage, as we're halfway through the last lap. But it's looking more and more like one.
Great debut win if Tom manages to get it, and I haven't spoken to him since yesterday, so hopefully he's been having a good day during the heats, which obviously he has, and hopefully it's been good enough. And if a win manages him to persuade him to stick with Rallycross a little bit longer, then that's great news.
Absolutely.
Tom Halliwell's going to come round the final turn around to the flag, and it's a great debut win there for Tom Halliwell.
There we are.
Fiesta.
Fantastic.
Well done, Tom.
Good stuff,
Second
Tom.
place is Graham Reid in the Nissan Pulsar GTIR, and unfortunately we had a DNF from Simon Horton. Not sure what broke or why he retired.
No.
But, there we go.
Wonderful.
Steve, that wraps up round number 1.
Already? We've got to wait ages for round 2, it seems. That's been,
We've got several weeks till round 2.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, there's a number of rallycross events in the UK in between that, but round 2, the BTRDA Championship, is back here at Blyton on June the 29th.
I'll put it in my diary. Yeah, great stuff. I hope you've enjoyed the rallycross action here at Blyton half as much as I did, because that means I've enjoyed it twice as much as you. But it's been several of the races here and performances that has kept us on the edge of our seats. It's been a good day for rallycross.
It has been a good start to the season. Some great wins by some different drivers than what we normally see, which is fantastic.
New faces, new cars.
New faces, new cars, new drivers.
Some older faces coming back as well.
Still older faces coming back. And with more drivers set to join the championship as we move on, then the next event will be at Blyton.
It's always
June.
It's always that thing at the beginning of the season when people have been working on their cars over the winter. Some are not quite ready, others are just about ready in time, and then trying for the first time, and little things happening that meant that they've not made it to the finals. We've seen. We have seen here a few folk who've brought their cars out for the first time and not made it for various reasons. Ty Retton, I think, is one to look out for. As
super modified. Agreed.
The former junior racer who has taken a couple of years out really to develop this ex-Mike Howlin Fiesta, rear-wheel drive Fiesta, with an ever-growing turbocharger, and unfortunately problems with the rear axle, somewhere on the rear axle, not the gearbox, mercifully. Something broke earlier on, and so the Ratton family have packed up and left early, and it's sorry, very sorry for them. But I have no doubt that they'll have things fixed in no time and be back to join us for the next round. Now, there's Simon Horton on the right hand side there, and talking with Duncan Longmate, who's one of
doing a bit of diagnosis, probably what went wrong.
He came out of there, and
and went that way. Anyway, should we wrap up?
I think we should do that. It's not Christmas though.
It's not. No, we'll go and do some wrapping somewhere. We'll get warm, shall we?
That's a good idea. That'll be a first today.
Yeah, we'll wrap up. But thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. That's been round 1 of the 2026 BTRDA Rallycross Championship, and also round 1 of the Motorsport UK Cross Car Championships for seniors and juniors.
Yep.
And we'll see you back here on the 29th of June or the end of June.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Steve.
All the best. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Ta-da.